everybody on. And we are broadcasting live on our Facebook page. That's WSAN Radio. On Twitch, go to Twitch and go to WSAN Radio. And also, we are on YouTube on WSAN Radio. And let me see here. Oh, yeah, we got the picture up. There it is. There she is. So in the studio right now, we have Catherine D. Marshall. She is a nurse practitioner, a licensed minister, and a life coach, all rolled up in one. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Oh, wonderful for having you on this morning. We surely do appreciate you taking the time out, coming and visiting us in the studio, because we talked on Monday.
We did.
Yeah, and it was a good conversation. It was so good, I called her up and I said, hey, I need to get you on the show. And here she is. And Martha introduced, she read a bio on you. You have any books out?
Not yet.
Oh,
coming.
Not yet coming. So we're waiting for that. But Martha read your bio, and that's just the tip of the iceberg on things that you do.
It is.
I see us reading on you and everything. Yeah, I scanned through everything about you already. And you are a true woman of wisdom. And what really got me today, everybody, is she was here right at 9:40. Not 5 minutes to 10. She was here at 9:40. And she was well on time because she didn't know what to expect. And, I really don't blame her because we never know what's going to go on, but everything's going good. So, life coach. Let's dabble into life coach first. For some reason, it put it in my heart to talk about life coach. With you being a licensed minister and a nurse practitioner, how does life coach fit into there?
Life coaching is helping people to identify their own goals and helping them to move forward. And so how that kind of correlates with being a minister in the Word of God, it's a Christian life coaching certification, and actually helping them to be able to use the Word as a foundation to move forward. And that looks like when you're developing goals, when you're trying to figure out your purpose and where you want to go in life, being able to identify that the Word actually is where you find your identity, and the purpose of God is where you're created. In the image of Him, He created us. And so realizing that the Word is our foundation, and when we build on a strong foundation, when storms come, we'll still be standing.
Oh, okay. That was easy, wasn't it? But the things that life coaches go through, we see that it's going to be a huge calling for life coaches. November 6th. Mm-hmm. Whichever party wins or lose, it's going to be some people out there hurt and not going to understand. Mm-hmm. And actually, we have to bring them back to reality. Because a lot of them are in this fantasy world right now and believing anything anybody say. And when you are entitled like that and your entitledness doesn't go your way, you get a lot of people that will act out. Mm-hmm. And we don't want them to act out in the wrong way.
Very true.
So if somebody comes to you and say, look, I need some help. I thought I was strong enough to handle this, but I don't get it, what happened, and I don't see what's going on. I'm lost. I don't know what to do with myself. Mm-hmm. We're going to see a lot of that, I think.
I think so as well. I think you're onto something. But many times our behavior is from our thoughts. Our thoughts develop our actions, which and ultimately deals with our destiny. And so when you begin to act out, it's because you've pondered on something for a period of time, and then you feel like you need to act on it. So many people who will act out or have behaviors that are not becoming, it's because they have foundational issues. It's not that November 6th made them do that. It's because they've been pondering their behavior is something that has been there for a while. So yeah, life coaching, not only life coaches, but therapy, mental health counseling. Mental health is so important. I do believe life coach has a place there, but also just knowing as a life coach, knowing your boundaries when they need maybe counseling or some additional mental health or psychology or psychiatry, being able to refer them and put them in places to get that additional services as well.
Well, you answered my next question without me even asking it. And that question was, what happens if you can't handle that situation being a life coach? You just said you push them on to somebody else who are more well equipped, not educated, more well equipped, as they got the license to do that, to
Yes.
do medication and all that stuff. And speaking about medication, I'm sort of torn between a few years back that schools was giving medications to kids stating they had ADHD and they felt they needed medication. How is it possible that somebody's not haven't seen your kid could give them medicine to slow them down without understanding them?
So medication has to be prescribed by a provider. That's number one. So schools ultimately cannot prescribe, but to the best of my understanding, I do have some friends who are in the school system. They're to go through an evaluation. They have different testing, different specialists there to be able to help them to identify at school and at home if they're able to keep their attention and finish tasks. And so I think that kind of understanding that process of how they got to there is important, but actually administering the medication, it has to be by a nurse. And then the parents have to sign for it. So it's not necessarily the school themselves just giving medication to children because of their behavior, but it's actually a process has been established that's what's needed.
Okay. So what all did you go through? Because I'm curious to become a life coach. What do you have to go through? I know school.
Mm-hmm.
I know that, but in order to be a life coach, but everybody out there listening, somebody want to go that route, what do they need to do for that?
Great question. So life coaching is, since 2019, has just really blown up with COVID. And so it is a certification, and there's numerous different entities that have a life coaching certification. It's several courses. I'm actually licensed through the American Association of Christian Counselors, but there are numerous others that are able to provide it as well. And so getting the certification, going through the classes, making sure that you understand the information, passing the test at the end, and then choosing the entity that you would like to be certified to. That will get you your certification. But beyond your certification, what's so important before you choose a life coach is to make sure that they have adequate knowledge and wisdom in life experiences and actually coaching. And so before my certification, I had been doing it already, helping my friends, my family, myself, in ministry, in grieving, in different avenues. So beyond certification, beyond schooling, you really just need life experience. You need wisdom. You need knowledge, and you can't get that from a book. A book can give you a portion. It's kind of like a tree. Trees grow to a different height, to each height, but then beyond that, the tree will mature, and then the fruit on the tree should mature with the tree. And so with life coaching, you can have a certification, but the maturity of the fruit that you'll deliver to your client is so important when you have additional tools and degrees and areas to be able to give you that.
See, I don't know if I want to go through school with that. I went through enough school already. Now, speaking about that, let's go on to being a licensed minister.
Mm-hmm.
That was a process too. It's nothing that you could say. I'm not making fun of this, y'all. I just gotta say this. Do y'all remember TV guys back in the days?
I do.
And do you remember it was a section you could fill out to become a minister?
No, I do not.
Yeah, there was an application there to become a minister. You fill that out, and they gave it to you, sent it back to you. You was a ordained minister.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it was. If anybody remember that, but that's not how it goes. That's not how it goes. For you being licensed minister, what did you go through to accomplish that?
I went through a year and a half to a year course to be licensed, and a pretty structured course. And then just showing teaching classes, writing curriculums. You have to write a eulogy, write out how you would run a ministry. You have to write out how you would do different like weddings or baptisms. You have to write all of those things out. You have to develop a plan. And then in the end, even in writing sermons, you do your trial sermon, as they would say. Mm-hmm. And so very structured, about a year and a half course under my bishop from home in Illinois. In addition to doing the course that was created by my bishop, I took a year and a half of seminary courses as well. The word tells you to iron sharpens iron, to make sure that you study to show yourself approved. And so I did not finish my MDiv, which is a master's in divinity, but I have definitely took numerous different courses to be able to make sure that I have the knowledge, the education. But beyond the education, you need the Holy Spirit. You need the Lord. I went to seminary. One thing that was very disheartening to me is one of the instructors said, "It's not my job to tell you about Jesus. It's my job to tell you about this book." And I was like, "Lord, am I in the right place?" You know. So education gives you a good foundation, but the anointing, the Holy Spirit, knowing the Lord, having an intimate relationship is really what qualifies you and seals you. Because just like in music, you can hear someone sing a song and it was good, but then you hear someone else sing the same song and it moves you. It will cause you to go into a place of reflection. It'll cause you to lift your hands and just to go into worship. And so there's something to be said about the anointing. There's something to be said about that intimate relationship with God that you cannot get in seminary or in a license or in any type of education. It comes with relationship.
And either you have it or you don't. You know, but you have it all the time, but you don't have that push or that I want to think of push to go ahead, because God chooses people that He wants to be on the pulpit.
He does.
He doesn't choose the ones that had everything given to them. He chooses the ones that have trials and tribulations that can relate to the congregation on the things that they went through. Is that about right?
It is. God chooses definitely whom He wants, and many times He will choose ordinary people. He chooses people like David. You know, David killed Bathsheba's husband. He was a murderer. You know, David was also called a man after God's own heart. You know, when God chooses people, it is many times that people went through struggles, who have came through different trials, because you do have compassion, and it will cause you to be humble. You know, if you haven't been through a storm, then you being able to tell someone how to come through it is very difficult. You know, if you've never been pregnant, you can give all of the things about pregnancy, all the symptoms, but if you've never really experienced that 9 months for yourself, that experience you can't really give to that person. And so when it comes to ministry, when it comes to God choosing, many times He will choose the person that looks like they should not be qualified. And so there's many times I did not feel qualified to do the things that God had called me to do. But He does that because He qualifies you.
Yeah.
You know, if you are self-assured, I'm scared. That's pride. But when you're God assured, you know that you're beyond you're beyond your education, you're beyond the doors that would have opened for you. And so that is the best place to be in, is to be in a place that you know that you need that additional help from the Lord. You're dependent on Him. So yeah. Yes.
Ooh. Now, I'm looking at everything that you do. Now I'm going to hit on nurse practitioner.
Okay.
A nurse practitioner is one step, if I'm right, of becoming a doctor, to continue to go to school.
It's how many people would describe it. So I have a master's in nursing, which allows me to write prescriptions, see patients. For those, do some procedures, help assist in surgery. Think if you, I'm not in surgery anymore, but I do see patients on a regular basis. I'm still, working my regular 40-hour work week. But my license is in family practice, so from newborns to from birth to death. But currently, I'm working as a nurse practitioner in electrophysiology. And so that is the study of abnormal heart rhythms. So when you deal with the heart in two categories, plumbing and electricity, plumbing is when people have a heart attack because their arteries or their veins are clogged or very narrow. And then the electricity portion is what makes your heart beat. And so I deal with the electricity portion of the heart.
Make sure it's beating all the time.
Make sure it's beating, not only all the time, but beating in rhythm and making sure that it's in a timely, not too slow, which is bradycardia, and not too fast, which is some type of arrhythmia, whether it's atrial or ventricular.
When you said that, I had somebody, I was talking to somebody, I said, you know your body never sleeps? Yeah. When I go to sleep, I said, but your body's not sleeping. I said, your heart is still going and everything's going on. I said, your body never sleeps.
Yes.
It gets old, it finally starts, but you don't, certain organs in your body never takes a nap.
That's true.
Because if it did, you wouldn't be here.
That's so true. We're designed perfectly. God designed us in such a way that if you don't, you have to know that man cannot create it. If you take a portion of the liver about the size of your hand and give it to a child or someone younger, it will grow to the size of an adult liver. If you take a pediatric kidney and give it to an adult, it will grow to the size of an adult kidney. The body is phenomenal. If you have arteries or veins that are narrowed, which is very, very small, or they get clogged, which is called stenosis, then the body will create ancillary veins to get to the area that's not getting the blood. The body is just designed in perfection to be able to do that.
Wow. So now we're going to add all this up on what you do. The reason why I went backwards coming up to here, I'm looking at total years of you doing the three things. What's the total years of studying and all that? How many years did it take for you to get where you're at right now?
I've been in the nursing profession for 24 years.
Okay.
And cumulatively, I would say 20 years. In 2004 is when I started my master's program, and that was when I really just rededicated my life back to Christ, knowing that I was a single mom. Both of my parents were deceased, and there was no way that I could finish the program, and I needed to be financially stable. And so during that program, I really just sought the Lord to know Him like my mother, like my godmother, like my father. And that set me on a trajectory to just really change my life. And so from that, even though I was in school, I had the ability to mentor undergraduate students, mentor my friends. We'd go to the bathroom, we'd be praying, calling out to the Lord. And so over the last 24 years of my life has really just been the culmination of the three, getting my, as a nurse practitioner, studying in ministry and life coaching, just helping others to help develop their plans, see deficits. Not only that, but even in my own life, because I've definitely evolved over these last 20 years.
So, will you say some of the struggles that you went through to get where you at? Because I know you said you was a single parent. I was single parent raising my kids, and my struggle is to make sure there's food on the table.
Yeah.
They were right now to this day. It's hard for me to buy clothes because I will buy for them and I will do without. Now I don't. They're grown, successful. I still find it hard for me to pay $40 for a pair of shoes. I still trying hard for me to pay. But one thing I do, I like ties. I'm a tie freak. I will buy a tie before I buy a suit. But it's hard for me to buy things because the way I was back then, make sure the kids were okay.
Absolutely.
And it was some struggles. I'm not gonna lie to you, it was some struggles. It seemed like any day now we could have been on the streets.
Yeah.
But God made sure I had something going.
He provided.
Yeah.
That's a real struggle. That's a real phenomenon. And it has to do with self-care. Many times we're taught to love your neighbor as you love yourself, right? And so we always focus on love your neighbor. Be kind, the golden rule. You taught that in kindergarten. You know, the golden rule, being kind to others. But many times we're taught to give, be kind, to do things for people, but we're not taught what that actually looks like to ourselves. And so because of that, being a single mom, just being a mom and an auntie, it is, I still find myself, like, I get hand-me-downs of computers, I get hand-me-downs, beats or, things from my son that I purchased that I would think nothing of purchasing for him, but when it comes to myself, like, I really don't need that. So yeah, that is a real struggle, but over the last several years, I have really intentionally tried to do better with that. I take a trip once a year by myself, just to relax, kind of take that sabbatical and do whatever, splurge on myself. I do try to do those things, but it has to be intentional. When it comes to my kids or my nieces, my family, it's effortless. But for me, it definitely comes with intention.
Oh, well, like I said, I had to write a bio on myself.
Oh yeah.
You know how hard that is?
Oh, it's difficult.
And I'm sitting out there, and I've been messing with it for like 3 months.
Yeah.
Finally, I had a deadline I had to meet.
Yeah.
So I ended up doing the bio in 2 days.
Uh-huh.
And I looked at it, and I kept on changing it. Kept on leave it alone. So I sent it off where it's supposed to go to. It came back saying, "Oh, you did a great job on this." They just don't know what it took me to get it done. Because if anybody, it's hard to write about yourself and talk about yourself.
It's awful. But thank God for Chat GPT.
Oh,
that's amazing. I just put my name in, and some of the things that I do, and it popped up, and I just kind of went through and tweaked it a little bit. This is very difficult.
Yeah.
I am definitely. It's hard to talk about myself. I had a friend pass away, and her son, I was like, if there's anything I could do for you, please let me know. And he's like, oh, okay, Catherine. And so he was like, no, I have everything. I don't need anything. I'm like, oh, okay. And so at the service, I asked him, I was like, do you just mind if I speak? I just want to say something about your mom. And so after everything was over, he was like, wait a minute, like, you didn't tell me that you sing, you write, you could have done the eulogy. You didn't tell me, And I was like, no, I didn't. I just don't do well giving my resume.
Yeah.
But for those who know me closely, it makes it easier. But I'm working on it.
So you sing?
Yeah, a little bit.
See,
I enjoy it.
A little bit. I don't.
I do.
Anybody who's ordained minister, the qualification is you have to sing.
Oh well.
I've seen some preachers get up there and sing that shouldn't open up their mouth.
Yeah.
But it's the Holy Spirit that hit them at that time.
Make a joyful noise to the
Lord.
But I'm definitely a worshiper. Definitely a worshiper.
Okay. So you'll get up there. So you need to let me know when you're gonna start singing sometime, so I come over and check you out and see. Oh, all right, she's legit.
I stay in my lane. We have a great worship team, but I do. Okay. I'm definitely a worshiper. You'll find me on the sidelines. Yeah. Yeah, I'm on it. Even at work, I'm walking into the parking lot. My friends be like, Catherine, I heard you coming in this morning because I'm going across the bridge at work, and I am in full worship. All the way in, so yeah, you'll catch me there.
I was coming in this morning to the office, and Cameo came on with Back and Forth, and I started listening to the lyrics of that song. I said, if they change a couple words in this song, this could be biblical. The way it is, and most of our music, our culture, it comes from church music.
It does.
And people don't realize that the blues and all that, back in the slavery days, they weren't allowed to talk to each other. So they sung songs that send the message. And it was in the churches they would do that. And people don't realize that we didn't have cell phone. Well, they didn't. I'm talking like I was back then.
Right.
They didn't have cell phones back then.
Right.
They had the Lord like guiding them, and they was singing. They knew what was going on, and they was trying to figure out. Say, how did they figure out what was going on? It was the singing. They never caught on to it.
Yeah, it is. Music has such a strong foundation, not only in just foundation across the board, because things that you listen to like Luther and Cameo and all the 70s and 80s, and I was a blues girl back in the day. But when you start to listen to the lyrics, even I used to love Whitney Houston, but when I began to just listen to the words, she was in such a depressed state, And so the words really matter. The word tells us whatever a man speaks, so is he. Think on things that are lovely. It tells us a lot about our mind. And when we're confessing something, when we're singing something, we're speaking that over our life. So I'm very, very cautious now about the music that I listen to, because it will put you into a place that you should or you should not be into. Yeah. But definitely most things definitely started in the church, just like Lucifer. He was a minister and angel, and was kicked out of heaven. And so music, it can lead you toward God or it can lead you away from him. And so it's important to just be mindful.
Because I was, one of my stops radio stations, one guy came out and said, I listen to Motown. I said, yeah. What do you think? It's so depressing. I said, I hate to say this. And I said, I told him, I looked at him and I said, I guess basically you've never been black. And he looked at me startled. I said, that we was writing on what we felt at that time. Yeah. Yes, it was depressing, so welcome to our world. Yeah. I had to break it down to him like that. And he understood, Yeah. And then what leading to that, our culture is nobody want to take time out to understand our culture. Yeah. They want us to abide by their culture. But as soon as we bring up our culture, there's a problem. Like, for instance, this one lady I know named Devette. She has started this thing called the Natural Hair Society, where they're going to celebrate the law that right now that little black girls and black women could go to work any type of hairstyle they want. And they was sending them home because of their hairstyle, because they didn't understand our culture. Our hair is not straight. We have a unique brand of hair. And so they turned around and they won the case, the Crown Act. So it's supposed to go into effect September 1st. And so things like that is, if they sit down and talk to us and get to know us, we're no more different. We want the same thing. We want to be able to buy a house, to do everything we want to do. And what was so funny, I looked on some demographics one time, and it showed, this is women, it showed the same job that a man is doing, a woman is doing, she get paid 20% less.
Very true.
And I'm trying to figure out, why is that?
Very true, because it was a man's world. It was a man's world.
All right, don't do that, James Brown. she just went to James Brown on that one on us.
It was, men. So I watched this documentary on Netflix where it talked about how I think it was like AI and facial recognition, and how facial recognition did not recognize people of color and melanin. It didn't recognize certain features because it was created by Caucasian men. And so in order for it to be utilized appropriately, the developer had to put in things features that would recognize African Americans or people of color, period, or Hispanics. You had to put in all these things. And so it really matters how it's developed, Yeah. And so people in the past, slavery, they were developed. Their mind was, black people don't bleed the same. They don't do things the same. And so when you're listening to and you're allowing that to feed your mind, racism it's a behavior. Racism is taught.
You're right.
Children, they love one another. They have no idea, what's going on at home, and they love one another. And so when you just begin to look at all of the things that have to do with disparity, women and men, and disparity across just not only gender, but you talked about jobs and employment. Even between nurse practitioners and PAs, there's a disparity with many times we do the same job, but there's a disparity. There's a difference in our income as well. So it's very, very, very real. But I want to put a plug right there when you talked about disparity within the healthcare system. There is such a disparity with healthcare, yet still based upon the color of your skin. I love how the tennis player, she, I can't think of her name right offhand, I don't know why, but even when she talked about her DVT, how she partnered with Nike to have the compression garment, because more African American women die in labor than any other population. Even going to the ER, with any type of heart symptoms. Many times African Americans are they're not treated the same. It's such a disparity based upon the color of your skin. Not only the money that you have, that's a whole nother thing, but based upon the color of your skin, even in healthcare, it's devastating. So you have to have an advocate. And you have to know, and that's why one reason that I love, I love what I do, because not only am I a provider, but I'm an advocate. I want to educate you. I may not be your provider, but I want to educate you just about health, about being an advocate for yourself, and then how to maneuver the healthcare system. It's more of a sick care system than a healthcare system. But knowing how to navigate that is so essential.
Yeah, I think you were talking about Serena Williams.
Yeah, Serena Williams. I couldn't think of her name.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Now, I was reading on something about a couple years ago on how the mammograms are done, and found out they gave the older machines on the west side and south side, and the newer ones on the demographics here, Stone Oak area, where the new machines could detect something minute and the older ones didn't. So they shipped it down there, and I said, wait a minute, there's something wrong with that. I mean, how come you can't buy this for everybody? So like you said, they pass things along, but technology is good, but if you give old technology, it's not gonna do any good, because so many women who end up having breast cancer, they could have been prevented, or they would have seen it earlier. So when you say it's a difference, the color of your skin, what goes on, it's showing right now in the health field. Oh
yeah, it's been there for a long time, and it really matters that we're educated. That you educate your patients, and that as a patient, as a person, you need to do some homework. I will tell you that WebMD and Google and all those things, when you begin to look up different diagnoses and things, it will scare you. But there's a place for search engines. There's a place for WebMD to educate you, to make sure that you have enough knowledge to know, okay, I'm having some chest pain, and you give me you give me Tums because you tell me it's heartburn, and it doesn't get better. It gets worse with exercise. Chest pain or any type of pain in your chest area that gets worse with exercise is likely not GERD. But you won't know that, one, because you're not a provider. But it really does matter how much you know about you. You're with yourself 24 hours a day. You come to a provider, they're with you 10, 15 minutes, some even less. And so your ability to articulate what's going on with your body helps us to then be able to get a diagnosis and then to be able to move you along. But if you don't, there are some people out there that are degreed and they are providers, but they don't take the time. And the technology difference, even though there is a technology difference, they can send you where better technology is. They can refer you, just like in life coaching. They can refer you to a specialist. You know what? I'm not as comfortable, but that takes humility too, to say, hey, I do have knowledge, but maybe let me send you to someone who may be a little bit better than I. And so it's important.
Well, I tell my doctor, They always ask, anything else you want to add? Oh yeah. Break out my phone. What you doing? I said, well, I was writing down everything right here that I've been going through, and I'm gonna make sure everything's okay. And they look at me, and the reason why I do that, I had a son that had asthma real bad, and I almost lost him 3 times in the emergency room. So I was trying to figure out what was causing the asthma. So I broke out my good old pencil and paper. I started writing things down every time I had a tick. What did he eat? What did he do? I went all the way down, went all the way down, went all the way down. Well, I didn't know it was an asthma support group out there. So I joined that support group, which was mainly women. I was the only guy in there. And I was writing everything down. And then we found a trigger. It was chocolate. It was chocolate that was triggering his asthma. Why chocolate? I don't know. But the ladies looked at my notes. I had everything handwritten, highlighted, and all that stuff. You sat down and did that? Most men don't do that. I said, well, you gotta remember, a parent isn't always a woman. A parent is man or woman.
Yes.
And it just so happened I'm a man, and I want to make sure my kid is okay. And that's what I did. So, make a long story short, I was in that support group for like 6 years, and they broke things down, and they told me I was the only one that came in and broke things down. They started doing the same thing. So what I'm getting at, education is fine. Even though you're not that expert, you're the expert of your kids.
Yes, you are.
You know what's going on with them, you know their body, and you know what's going on. So, and now for myself, I do the same thing. I admit I'm a type 2 diabetic. I was on 4 different type of medications. Now I'm down to 2. But it's the lifestyle change you have to do on some things where people are afraid to take that leap of faith and change their lifestyle.
Lifestyle is important, you know. Even when you go to a physician, they do a history and physical, right? History comes first. What have you done? What is your family history? What is your social history? All those things matter. Because everything affects your body. It affects every organ of your body. And so having a great history, having a great idea of kind of things that will trigger you is so important. Even, when you come home with an attitude, right? It's like, well, who did you talk to on your way home? Like, who just texted you? Making sure that in our social history that we take inventory of people who have bad attitudes. I'm in addition to your son, food allergies. I'm that girl. I have 2 EpiPens, and so there was one time I was allergic to everything food wise, and I was taking Benadryl before I ate, but just making sure that keep a note of things that bother you, things that trigger you, because it will then take you back to hopefully the source. And so it in life, in medicine, and in our spiritual life, our healthy life, everything starts with the source. You did say one thing I thought was really interesting in the support group. You said that most of them were women, and then you were the only guy. But you made the statement that only there may be, if there's one parent, it may not just be a male, and so. In parenting, whether the other parent is present or not, you still need 2 parents.
Yeah.
I was a single mom, and so raising a son is very challenging for a mom. And so I really intentionally put him in places with men that were prominent men, that had educations, that were able to mentor him and to lead him to a place that I knew the things that he needed. Because raising a young man, there's things that I just can't give you. I would love to be to everything, but I'm not. And so realizing that even though we're single, we may be a single parent, the other parent is having that other, even if the parent is not present, having that role model in their life will help to really develop them to be a more well-rounded child.
Yeah, I like the way you put that.
Yeah.
You triggered something in my mind about medication.
And,
I gotta say this, y'all. So don't anybody get me wrong. Why is it on some of these commercials they talk about the medication, then they talk about the side effects? May cause suicidal tendencies. It may cause rashes, may cause this. Once they read that whole list, what it may cause, should I take that medicine? You know, because there's a lot of medicine that will make you worse than what you are.
Yeah.
And the main part that gets me said, if you're allergic to this, please do not take it. How do you know you're not allergic to it until you take it?
You won't. You won't until you take it. You know, medicine is a whole other topic. One, it costs too much. You know,
Yeah.
if you're diabetic and insulin costs you, you know, more than your house note, that's a problem.
Yeah.
And so medicine really, I, in my opinion, just really needs to be regulated more. One, so that's available. Two, when you talk about side effects, they give you the most common side effects, and then they give you the more serious ones.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it has to be listed. It has to be listed so that you have an understanding that these things could happen. But on the other hand, by the FDA, it should have been able to do what it's indicated for. So,
Right.
although hydrochlorothiazide is a well-known diuretic, they use it a lot for high blood pressure. They use it a lot for edema. And it's known to cause facial swelling. It's known to also be great with your blood pressure, you know?
Yeah.
It's known to give you a cough, an ACE cough. And so, why would they give it to you? Because it works great to bring down your blood pressure in addition to something else. And then you have the facial swelling or you have the cough. That is a side effect of it. Doesn't mean you necessarily have an allergy, but you should stop taking the medicine. And so to go back to your question of why did they tell you, the commercials tell you about this medicine and then give you such a long list of side effects? Because one, it should educate you that the medication should do what it's indicated for.
Mm-hmm.
But there are other things that you should be mindful of because you're with yourself 24 hours. If you have these symptoms, then to be mindful that they may be more harmful. They may be, you know, something that you need to be aware of.
Yeah, because me and one doctor got into it. I'm not gonna name the doctor. I'll tell you off air.
Don't do it.
But my son with the one with the asthma, he was getting real bad. He was taking this medicine called Slowbid.
Slowly.
Yeah, it was for asthma, and I said something's not right. She increased the dose, and he got worse.
Mm-hmm.
And I sat up and told her, I said, "Look here, this is not working." She looked at me and she said, "Well, you don't know what an asthma attack is." I said, "Excuse me?" I said, "I'm with them all the time. I know what you don't know what it is, and I'm just giving this medicine to help." I said, "You know what? Between me and you, your services is no longer needed."
Mm-hmm.
So I pulled him away from that doctor, went to another one. The doctor went cold turkey with him.
Mm-hmm.
And then a month later, find out what he needed. He went from 6 different medications for asthma down to 2.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm letting everybody know, it doesn't work for everybody, but you got to stand your ground sometime. When something's not working, you got to let the doctor know, but this is not working. If the doctor's not listening to you, you have the right to leave and go see another doctor.
You do.
And you know, so that's my testimony, and I'm standing by it. And I told her service is no longer needed. She gave me one to look like, "I can't believe you said that to me." Yes, I did. I turned around, me and my son, we walked away.
Yeah. I mean, you have the availability of getting a new provider, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to trust your provider, especially when you're not well. You know, you don't want to go to someone you've never met when you're sick, you know, and because you have to trust that they're going to know your history and treat you best for you. Medications and healthcare and medicine it's broad range, but when it comes to each person, you have, as a provider, we have to listen to you because you know it helps us to develop a better plan. And so one of the things in healthcare that's really pushed now is a mutual agreement. It's that conversation that you and I have as a provider. If I'm your provider, the conversation that you and I have that's best for your plan, the goal to move you forward.
Right.
And so when you have that, they're really, really pushing in healthcare now, which should have been, you know, for in all things, to be able to listen to you, and then have a plan that we both agree on that's going to be best for you. Because when you have someone who listens, unlike the example that you've had and that I've had, you know, it helps you to trust them and trust, you know, when things are not going the right way.
Because I make sure I I don't yell at them. I don't beneath them.
Mm-hmm.
I just give my opinion, and even though it could be a little strong and vocally way I put it, but when you're dealing with my life and my son's life, I expect you to listen
Yeah.
to what I'm seeing at home that you don't see. Like you said, they may see you 10, 15 minutes without really knowing the root of the problem. They're going by what you say, but when you say something and they contradict you, said, no, you mean it was this. You were not there. So how do you know it's like this? So, I mean, believe it, y'all, I'm not that bad. I just tell it like it is.
You could have been a little stern, but as providers, we have days too.
Yeah.
We have moments too, and I'm blessed in the situation that I actually do right now. I do a lot of remote monitoring, dealing with cardiac devices, and so a lot of 50 to 60% of my work is done virtually, but the other portion that's actually face to face, I have the availability to have that time to be able to kind of deal with not only the like their palpitations when they're feeling their heart is racing, but kind of get to the root of the problem. And so as a provider, many times if you're in with a group or one of the larger institutions, you don't have time. You have to see people every 20 minutes.
Right.
They don't give you the availability to deal with your list of problems. I can deal with one problem today, and then you'll have to make another appointment. And so because our time is many times regulated by others, regulated by insurances, regulated by bigger corporations, it makes it difficult for us. And so we're really many times practicing based upon what the insurance will pay for. It may not be exactly what we want to do, but our hands are tied.
Yeah, you said that right there. Is what they're gonna pay for.
Yeah.
Because it changes every year.
It does.
With being on Medicare, Medicaid, Medicare, I always get those two mixed up. But they always come up with different criterias each year. They take away stuff, they put stuff back into place. I've been on it for 3 years, and I watch some of the same things taken away, then put back in, and taken away and put back in. So yeah, you're right about that. You gotta make sure. And that's another thing you gotta make sure when you do make a doctor appointment, you gotta make sure they cover everything.
Yeah.
Cause you may come out owing $100 just going to see their doctor.
Yeah, making sure that they're in network, with your insurance, making sure they're in network and out of network, and how much it's going to cost you and what your copay is. It's a lot of information to go to the doctor.
You talking about a lot of information. People will not take the time out to study information. Oh, go to Dr. Okay, going over there.
Right.
Well, I thought you was going to do this and do that. No, we don't do that. That's another doctor. And I see one thing that they're getting away from. To go to a specialist, you got to get a referral. Mm-hmm. I'm lately seeing now you don't need to get a referral on some, which I think that's great. So you go to a doctor, you spend your $40 copay just for them to refer you to a specialist. And I believe that is slowly but surely going away.
Well, it really has to do with, and this is not my specialty, but I'm going to give you what I got.
Okay.
It has to do with PPOs and HMOs. HMO is you have to have a referral. And then PPOs, you don't need a referral. You can go see whomever you want. Mm-hmm. But there are some testing that you can do self-referrals. So like mammograms, you don't have to have a prescription. You can do a self-referral and just make you an appointment and go get a mammogram. You can do a self-referral now for a colonoscopy. You don't have to have someone to do a referral. You can just make your own appointment. And so there are some things, even with some blood tests now, you don't have to have a prescription to be able to get them. You can, do them at the, Quest or LabCorp and be able to get the information. The thing with self-referrals is that where's the information going? And who is going to interpret the information? And then who's going to follow up if something's abnormal with your colonoscopy? Who's going to follow up if something's abnormal with your labs that you decided to get done? And so many times people you want all of this information, but then what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with the information? How is it going to be interpreted, and how are you going to apply it? So yes, there are some things that referrals are not needed for, but you still need someone on the other side to be able to deal with the information once you have it.
Yeah, well, yeah. Okay. You got me on that
Yeah.
one. Well, okay. We're getting close.
Okay.
What happened was I go in once a year for an eye exam.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure no diabetes, how they say it in my eyes. They look behind, and I've been blessed. Nothing is there. Well, this year they called me up and they said, we're going to have somebody in your area to come in and look at your eyes. I said, that means I have to go to the eye doctor? No. We're just checking for glaucoma, anything going on with your eyes with diabetes. And they came to the house, and I sat down there for maybe 15 minutes. They put everything up there, did a test and all that stuff. I said, okay, your doctor will get this in 2 weeks. I said, wow. So when I go to the eye doctor, I won't need that test done because they're already doing it. What they're doing, they're taking the cost away because I was paying for that to get that done. Something separate, an eye exam, and they charge different price for everything. I said, so why are you doing this? Well, it's taking away some of the money that you're paying at the eye doctor for this. We're doing it right now. So I said, well, thank you. I appreciate that. She was in and out in 15 minutes.
You know what? So funny. I went to the eye doctor not too long ago, and I hadn't had my eyes dilated in a while. And so he was like, Catherine, I don't think we've done this in several years. I'm like, no. So he dilated my eyes and looking, and I don't remember exactly what it was, but he was just explaining to me that, yes, corrected vision with our glasses is very important, and being able to look for cataracts and the different blood vessels in our eyes to tell us about the health of our eyes. But some things that he was explaining to me, like when your eyes are dilated, there's things that they can see that you can't see if your eyes are not dilated. Even with the 3D, they have a 3D retina exam, and they have, all this technology. But some old school things like eye dilation, some old school things like, knowing how to do a manual blood pressure, those old school foundational things still have a place in medicine.
Yeah. I remember when I first got my eyes dilated, the guy said, well, you sit here and have a glass about 15 minutes, and if you're able to drive, go out there. I went out there, and I came back, sat down, and said, I'm good. I got to sit down a little longer. I'm not. I came back in there right away because, wow, your pupils are wide open, boy. It's easy. It's so light sensitive.
Yes.
And I sat down like 45 minutes right there. I will get up every 15 minutes and go out.
Right.
I come back in. Not yet.
Absolutely.
But I'm not gonna try it because that's my first time getting my eyes dilated. So now I know I give myself sitting doctors off an hour.
Yeah.
I sit there.
Yeah.
I could look at my phone or do some things, and them ugly dark glasses they give you to put on.
They're not pretty.
They cover everything and stuff. So. But I feel you on that. The eye dilation, everybody, if you never had one, if you go get one.
Talk to your eye doctor.
Yeah.
You don't have talk to your eye doctor about getting your eyes dilated. That's something that's needed.
And if you want to, have somebody take you so they can take you home.
Yeah. Yeah, or you're gonna have to wait a little bit.
Yeah, I waited an hour, so y'all look out for that. All right. In closing, how can people get a hold of you? When you tell me the other day you getting the website done?
Yes, I am. I'm working on the website. That's not my forte, so I've been working on it. But how can you get a hold of me is bondandglue@yahoo.com, or my number is 618-409-9801.
Okay. Wow. It was nice to have you in here this morning. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
And we're gonna get you back. Matter of fact, we got the round table coming up on August 2nd, and I invited this young lady to be a panelist. She said, sure, I'll do it. So that's what we got going on. But anyway, we appreciate you coming by, and I don't know what else to say. It was lovely to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It's been great.
Okay, and we will catch up with you, ladies and gentlemen. It's DJ Ron G on WSAN Radio, and we are just having a field day. One thing, I got to get my shameless plug in there to make sure that you go to WSAN Radio WSA on our YouTube channel. Start following us and like us. I'm just throwing that in there. You know, please go to it. We need 500 more people in order to get things going. I want 1,500, but I'll settle for 5. But if I get 1,500, it'd be a blessing.
I'm gonna put a plug right there. You ask not because you get not, or you ask amiss. Make sure that if you really want that 1,500, you know the Lord says He'll give us exceedingly abundantly above all we can ask or think. Don't limit yourself.
All right, I want 2,000.
Praise Him.
I want 2,000. I'm gonna go
Lord.
500
Let me
above.
encourage you, Lord.
Yeah.
Don't limit Him. Don't limit Him on His followers.
I want 2,000 subscriptions to subscribe to WSAN Radio SA.
That's right.
All right,
Speak
Catherine, thank you for pulling that out of me. I needed that. We appreciate you coming on, everybody. Everybody, we can get out of here. We appreciate everybody tuning in this morning and letting us know what's going on in your neighborhood.
Yes.
We really do love it. So just keep up the good work, Catherine, and please do not turn nothing down that comes your way.
I'll do my best.
All right, this is DJ Ron G on WSAN Radio. We're getting on out of here. As we say all the time, peace and chicken grease. I'll catch everybody bright and early. What's today, Thursday? Tomorrow morning. I'm thinking this is Friday. I said I'll catch everybody on Monday. But no, we'll catch everybody. Thank you, everybody. We'll talk to everybody later.